Okay, so measurement conversions can be within measurement systems. So we convert within measurement systems. So like inches to feet, or you can go to grams to kilograms, or ounces to pounds, whatever the case. Um, we're gonna learn how to convert using different measurement systems. There are two ways to convert. We're really only going to use one way, and that's this one right here. Uh, it's an ugly star, or whatever. So we're going to represent the conversion with a proportion, and then we're going to solve it. The second way is to represent it with a unit rate, but we're not going to do it that way. The proportion is much easier for us to solve. Okay, so this example, it gives us yards and it gives us feet. It says there are 3 feet in 1 yard. What are we comparing in this case? We're comparing what? Feet and yards. Good. So we're comparing feet to yards. We're going to write it like that. Always, always, always start with the label. F over Y. That does not take any time to do. It doesn't take any time, and it will save you all kinds of heartache if you use the label. So F over Y. That means that any number that pertains to the measurement in feet will go as my numerator, and any number that pertains to a measurement in yards will go as my denominator. That's all we did just now, but that saves us. So you start with how many feet are in a yard? There are 3. So there's 3 feet in a yard. So there are 3 feet in 1 yard. If it's a proportion, we make it equal to another ratio, another fraction. Okay, and then the other fraction, we say that we're trying to figure out how many feet are in 16 yards. Where am I going to put that 16? Numerator or denominator? Denominator. Why would I put it on the top? What goes on the top? Feet. What goes on the bottom? Yards. So if it's 16 yards, that needs to go on the bottom. What goes on the top? What that number is? What a missing number is? X. I can use any letter, but the most popular letter is X. All right. So can I scale this? We learned that there are 2 ways to solve a proportion. We can cross multiply, which is what we've been doing before, or we can scale. What that means is we go from 1 to 16 is multiplied by 16. Whatever I do on the bottom, I can do to the top, so I can multiply the top times 16. And so it's kind of a shortcut. Now I can just do 3 times 16. What is that? It's not 38, 48. And so X is equal to 48. That saves me time. I could have also cross multiplied. I would have got the same answer. So again, we want to start with our label, feet over yards. We start with the initial rate, 3 feet in 1 yard. We make a proportion. They gave us a third number. They told us 16 yards. Put that as the denominator. Put X as my numerator. And then I just scaled from 1 to 16. From 1 to 16 is 1 times 16. It gives you 16. So we do the same thing on top. 3 times 16 gives you 48. And that is your answer. Does that make sense? All right, look at number 1. Again, we're going to not look at this because that's not set up the way we want it. Again, we want to start with the label. Alex, what's going to be my label for this one? What are we comparing? Cups to quarts. That's my label. Now, in the example, they tell us how many cups are in 1 quart. So 4 cups, 1 quart. Make that equal. It says how many cups are in 8 quarts. So where do I put that 8? Why do I put it on the top? Put it on the bottom. It's 8 quarts. Quarts, the Q goes on the bottom. Or goes on top. I can scale from 1 to 8 is times what? From 1 to 8 is times 8. So I get the same thing on top. 4 times 8 is what? And so there are 32 cups and 8 quarts. If you don't know how to scale, just cross multiply. All right, let's do number 3 real quick. It says how many pounds are in 96 ounces? Christian, what is my label? Pounds and what? Good. So there are pounds, LB for pounds, OZ for ounces. Now this one is kind of inverted, okay? How many ounces are in 1 pound? How many ounces are in 1 pound? There are not 96 ounces in 1 pound. We should know how many ounces are in a pound. 16. So 1 pound has 16 ounces. We want to know how many pounds are in how many ounces. What does the question say? How many pounds are in? Where does that go? How do I know? That's what ounces are. Good. What goes on top of that? Can I scale from 16 to 96? You can, but if you don't know how, if you don't know what it is, then just go ahead and cross multiply. 16 times x is 16x. 1 times 96 is, so 16x equals 96. What do I do now? We divide by 16. So 96 divided by 16. And I'm going to just give y'all the answer. The answer is 6. For the sake of time. So how many pounds are 96 ounces? 6 pounds. Does that make sense? All right, you guys are going to do number 2 and number 4 on your own.